Welcome to Wagner and Winnick on the Law. For the next hour, Monterey College of Law's Dean Mitchell Winnick and law professor Stephen Wagner will discuss current legal events and public policy issues that are affecting our daily lives. They will not provide individual legal advice. If you have a specific legal problem, you're encouraged to contact a lawyer for legal assistance. If you do not have a lawyer, contact the local bar association or lawyer referral service in your community for recommendations. And now, here's Wagner and Winnick on the Law.
Good afternoon. This is Mitch Winnick welcoming you to Wagner and Winnick on the Law. I'm joined today by my co-host, Stephen Wagner, and we're also joined by our guest, Kelly McClure, an attorney from Dallas, who we'll be introducing in a few moments. First of all, Stephen, we're going to be really happy to tell people that it's a happy Valentine's Day, or at least a day early. I hope you have your gift taken care of.
Yeah, absolutely, I do, Mitch. I just haven't presented it yet, so I don't want to talk about it on air.
Okay, that might let the cat out of the bag, so to speak.
That's right.
Well, I want you to know that I've taken care of mine as well. So we've been good guys. We certainly, at least for this weekend, won't need Kelly's help.
That's right.
So it's a little bit of macabre, but, we're doing Valentine's Day early, and I have to say that as Valentine's Day was coming up, you and I were talking about, what's an appropriate topic for Valentine's Day, and, we're going to talk about divorce law. I guess, is that a little twisted?
Yeah, I think this might have been your idea.
Oh, I think it was.
But, no, it's a good one, though. I mean, there's obviously a connection, right? Of course, we need to talk about the dynamics and the mechanics involved with family law, so-called family law. And, of course, that includes divorce law, child custody, and there's a lot of issues involved in that, and I think it's a great topic.
Well, I think it is. I'm reminded that last year the Supreme Court had done us a favor by bringing up the topic of same-sex marriage right before Valentine's Day, so that was our Valentine's Day topic last year. So we're kind of keeping with a theme of family-related legal issues for the Valentine's Day weekend.
That's right. I do think it marks the first time that we actually had a guest who specialized, I think, in family law. So let's do it.
Well, I think that's great. So I am delighted that we have as our guest today Kelly McClure. Kelly is the managing partner and CEO of the McClure Law Group. In a full disclaimer, I have known Kelly now for 15 plus years and knew her when I was a lawyer in Dallas, and she is now still a lawyer in Dallas. But Kelly has absolutely developed a practice that specializes in family law, and divorce is certainly a major part of that. When I knew Kelly, she had done a very unique thing then, which was to help her get her practice off the ground. She actually represented primarily corporate clients. She was an attorney in a corporate law firm, and what she taught me then, and she'll talk about a little today, is that the absolute normal thing that if a corporate executive all of a sudden needs advice from a divorce lawyer, frequently the only lawyer they know, Stephen, is their corporate lawyer, and that's who they call and ask for a referral, right? And I'm sure that's true in your firm as well.
Yeah, true. That's a really good point, Mitch, because I think when divorce happens with corporate executives, it definitely showcases a important corporate law and business overtone, certainly. So having the cross training on corporate law and understanding how to track assets and everything, that's all a big part of it.
Well, let's bring Kelly in. Kelly, welcome to our show today.
Well, thank you all for both having me.
Well, thank you. And so Kelly, I do have to say there is a tie between, what I know about your practice and Valentine's Day. Before we get into the nuts and bolts of your practice of divorce law, I always thought you had one of the single most creative, should we say, marketing initiatives for a divorce lawyer. Tell us a little about what that was, or still is, if I understand.
Well, I don't know which one you're referring to. Give me
This is the one where you would always send out things on a certain day.
Yes. We do like to thank the people that send us business by sending them a Valentine gift on Valentine's Day.
That's right.
This year we sent out some yummy, big, huge Valentine Day all wrapped in a red box. In past years, we've sent out roses and all sorts of other related Valentine gifts to the various lawyers. Many lawyers referring us business to that, and the sources that send us referrals.
Well, I think people don't realize that, but if they think back, if they actually think about it, you'd say, well, why would you send something to a former client who they had a divorce, hopefully it's been successfully taken care of, and you hope not to see them as a repeat customer anytime soon. But the reality is, if you did a good job for them and they were pleased with it, where else are you going to get referrals, right?
Right. That's a very good source of referral for us and other lawyers and past clients. And it's a hard time for people going through the holiday, Valentine's holiday, when they go through divorce. So we like to always just give them something from us, too, to make them know that next year is going to be a better year for them.
Kelly, Stephen here, I was curious on that topic of referrals because I'm a civil litigator, and often attorney referrals is I'd say one of the top sources for getting new work. Is it common in the family law bar for there to be referrals from practitioner to practitioner?
Yes. Many times you have conflicts, and so I get a number of referrals from other board-certified family lawyers inside the state and outside the state.
And Kelly, I thought it was also interesting when I was familiar with your practice in Dallas that if you're dealing with executives, regardless of gender, one of the major issues in the divorce are going to be assets, frequently shares or business-related assets, retirement benefits. And so your relationship with business attorneys became pretty critical as far as how to best advise your clients, wasn't it?
Right, instrumental, because many times there's much planning that needs to get done before a divorce is even filed regarding the stock options and retirement plans. Gathering all the information out, finding what the value of the assets are really important, and then determining what may have been had prior to marriage and what was acquired during the marriage. Determining those numbers is really crucial before you even think about going forward filing for divorce.
And as I'm not sure everyone knows, but Texas and California are community property states, so the determination of whether an asset or a piece of property was owned prior to being married or after being married becomes a huge consideration, doesn't it?
Yes. Yeah, that's most definitely. So trying to find those records that may have existed 20 years ago sometimes are hard to do, so working with the corporate in-house counsel or corporate legal counsel outside is extremely important to try to gather that information.
And, Kelly, I was going to ask and invite you, excuse me, Mitch, but I just wanted to get this in. I know we're probably coming up on the first break, but if you could speak to the issue, because I think our listeners would benefit from hearing this, what is it that determines community property? And I can just sort of tee it up and tease it a bit by saying...
It's relatively simple. It's anything that was acquired during the marriage that's not a gift, that wasn't inheritance.
Okay, so in California, Kelly, what we do is we have a time, skills, and efforts kind of continuum. Is that common in Texas, too, if you look at time, skills, and efforts?
Yes, in terms of when the asset was acquired?
Yes.
Yes, and so the date of marriage is when the clock starts ticking for that. And, of course, if you had a prenup, that can certainly alter the characteristic of property. And also people can do estate planning, which also can shift things around a bit. But generally speaking, the general rule of thumb is anything that's acquired during the course of your marriage is going to be community property, with the exception of something you had beforehand that was a gift or was inherited.
And so, Kelly, it sounds like it's a lot more complicated when you have a business-type setting, because it sounds like you're doing a lot of work well in advance just to determine where the assets fall, because you must have to do that before you even get into the discussion between the two parties as to who would like to end up with which piece after the divorce.
Right. Sometimes you don't have the option to do that, but if you can do that, certainly the more time you put in on the front end, the easier it's going to be on the back end.
And so, Kelly, as Stephen said, we're coming up on our break in about 30 seconds here, so I don't want to launch into something new. But as we come out of this, there are two things I'd like to talk with you about. One is to talk a little. I jumped right into the subject. I don't want to fail to give everyone a chance to hear a little how you got into that area of the law. And then I think we're also going to talk about what trends have you seen? Because you've been practicing law now for 25 years, and I suspect things have gotten quite different in those 25 years, haven't they?
Most definitely. Most definitely.
And so Stephen, before we break on this, does your firm is also fairly civil litigators, but you don't have a family law attorney in-house, do you?
Well, we don't do specialize in family law. No, we would typically refer those kind of cases out.
Well, that's great. Yeah, so we're going to take a break. You're listening to Wagner and Winnick on the Law. Our Valentine's Day today topic is divorces and divorce law. You can listen to us on biztalkradio.com. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Deciding to go to law school brings up questions like, can I afford it? Will I be prepared to take the leap and open my own office when I graduate? I'm Wendy Law Revere, Dean of Admissions at Monterey College of Law. Have you ever dreamed of being a lawyer? We at Monterey College of Law can help make that dream come true with professors who are practicing attorneys and judges. They mentor our graduates. But don't take it from me. Hear what recent graduate Creighton Mandeville says.
I wasn't crippled in debt coming out of Monterey College of Law. I came out of it with no debt. I was able to do some working during that time and some savings, so I exited law school with no debt. I did feel prepared coming out of law school. I started helping friends with the issues that came up for them, and Monterey College of Law has so many great faculties and things that there were resources for me.
There's never been a better time to become a lawyer. Call us today at 582-4000. That's 582-4000. Or visit us online at montereylaw.edu. That's montereylaw.edu.
For 45 years, the Boys and Girls Clubs of Monterey County have been a vital part of our community. The club's mission is to inspire and empower the youth of Monterey County to realize their full potential to become responsible, healthy, productive, and successful citizens. As just one of the club's programs, more than 12,000 children and families have enjoyed safe after-school care at the Boys and Girls Club's Salinas Clubhouse. The Boys and Girls Club of Monterey County is very excited to announce that Monterey College of Law is providing one full tuition law school scholarship each year to a former Boys and Girls Club participant. For more information about this exciting opportunity, contact President and CEO Donna Ferrero at dferrero@bgmc.org or call 831-757-4412.
My Chevrolet. When you need a car, truck, say My Chevrolet. In our Salinas Valley, the best two words to say. When you need a car, truck, say My Chevrolet.
For your next new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, check out the great lineup of vehicles and fantastic deals now at My Chevrolet.
My Chevrolet.
My Chevrolet in the Salinas Auto Mall.
Hi, this is Terry Crews, actor, former football player, and father of 5. I'm also an expert on drama. There's a good kind that comes with having a house full of kids, and there's silly drama like the drama around my percolating pectorals. And then there's the drama you can skip.
Skip the drama that comes with not having your high school diploma or equivalency. Find free adult education classes near you and finish your diploma. Visit finishyourdiploma.org. That's finishyourdiploma.org.
And leave the drama to actors like me.
Brought to you by the Dollar General Literacy Foundation and the Ed Council.
Voices for Children. CASA ensures that children placed in foster homes receive the care and services they need to be safe and thrive, while also pursuing permanent homes for them. Community volunteers, trained as court-appointed special advocates, provide practical support and rights-based advocacy. Serving as an extension of the dependency court, CASAs monitor the children and develop personal relationships with them, reporting to the court on their progress every 6 months. Children in foster care with a CASA do better at home, academically, and have a better chance of a speedy, permanent placement. Voices for Children CASA proudly serves 100 of these fragile children today, but we have another 100 on our waiting list. Call 831-455-6800 to learn about advocacy. Change their lives and yours.
Welcome back. You're listening to Wagner and Winnick on the Law. I'm Mitch Winnick, the Dean of Monterey College of Law and San Luis Obispo College of Law, and I'm joined, as always, with my co-host, Stephen Wagner, a trial attorney and also a criminal law professor at our law school. And today our guest is Kelly McClure, the managing partner and CEO of the McClure Law Group. Kelly, right before the break, I told you we were going to ask a little about your background in this, and so I happen to know you started your practice as a tax lawyer. So how did you get from tax law to family law? That is not a transition that very many lawyers make.
No, well, you're nice to ask. Well, I started off doing pro bono work. My husband and I were both doing work with Lawyers Against Domestic Violence about 25 years ago, and I loved the feeling I was doing that pro bono work, and then doing my tax and corporate work, I had some corporate lawyers that said, oh, you do that? Can you help me on my divorce? And so my pro bono work and my passion for that, and then the natural overlap with the tax background really made it easy to transition ultimately to do family law work. But it was I just had a few corporate clients I was helping and doing the divorce, and really liked doing that, enjoyed the feeling of helping other people, and then I was very blessed. It evolved to a great practice.
Well, that's an interesting and not a very usual transition, but I love the fact that you found your passion of this area of the law through doing the pro bono, which is, for those whose Latin isn't quite up to snuff, that's when lawyers volunteer their time either through an agency or through their firm to give time to help those that cannot pay. And so it really turned out to be that kind of a blessing, didn't it? You gave it out and you got a career back.
Yeah, and that's why I continue to do that pro bono work, because it is very rewarding.
And so let me ask you this. So husband and wife lawyer team, that's, we know that there's a fairly high pressure in the practice of law. There's a lot of demands, and particularly in family law. Tell me about what it's like having a two-lawyer family. And I happen to know you've raised 4 great boys, a pair of twins, and 2 other boys. They're active as all get out. And here you are, the founding and managing partner of your own law firm, and your husband. I mean, how does all that work?
Well, I'm very lucky. I'm very lucky, Mitch. I will say I've got a wonderful husband, and I did get my Valentine gift already too. So
good.
I'm in good shape there too. So, but I'm very lucky. He's a true partner, and we work together and had a great time raising 4 boys. So it's been great because he's a litigator like Stephen, and so when I have other discovery issues and other issues that are more general to litigation, we have a good time brainstorming on it. He's overlapped a little bit in some of my cases I've had recently. I had a client once that decided he wanted to have he had hired a jury consultant, and he wanted to have the best team possible, and they said that a husband and wife team has better success in front of a jury. So I had this multi-millionaire that came in and hired both of us. So that was fun working with him on that case.
I bet it was.
Yeah.
Well, that's great. So,
Kelly, let me ask this about, because you had introduced the idea of passion, and of course, everybody needs to be passionate about what they do professionally, and I think nowhere else is that true than in the practice of law. I'm a former prosecutor, and when we get into trial in cases, the tension level tends to rise just by virtue of the facts and sort of the sentencing that's potentially in play. And I'm curious to compare that with family law, because I know tensions really do bubble over sometimes, and you got to really keep an even keel and temperament, right, Kelly?
I try my best. I really do like helping people. So, you're trying to get them out of a bad situation. So it's worth the effort, and the more time you put in, the better result usually you get. So
Kelly,
I just got out of a 5-week trial, and that was very time intensive, obviously, but we had good success. So I'm glad about it.
That's it. Kelly, tell me about some of the changes. As I mentioned, you've been practicing 25 years, and although the fundamental trial practice doesn't change that much, but I assume there must be some changes you've seen in the practice of family law, particularly in the area of divorces. What would some of those be?
Well, I think there's 2 big changes I've seen recently, probably in the last couple of years particularly, is a great rise on increase of pornography and addiction. That's on the all-time rise right now. And sex addiction, alcoholism, drug addiction. They all have, there's usually two of them that go together. That seems like it's an all-time rise with the easy access to the internet. That just has taken on, has really been very consuming for a lot of marriages. So there's been much more rise of that.
So really, we all talk about what are the social changes that are going to come about in a digital age. We've talked a lot about, kids and how it affects education and their lack of connectivity sometimes with friends and sports. But you're actually seeing it at the adult level as it becomes a disruptor between a husband and a wife.
Oh yes, and that seems like it's on the, like I said, all in the all-time high in terms of just being able to access it. In the 10 years ago, you would see more likely escort services, more frequent, but now with the internet and availability, it's right down the street.
And then Kelly, from an evidentiary standpoint, because I wanted to address that issue too. The rules of evidence, I assume, in Texas would be similar to California in a family law tribunal, correct? I mean, they're honored. There's a requirement that everything passes through foundation and admissibility tests before items are introduced to evidence, correct?
Yes, and exactly, Stephen. I was going to say the other area is right on target with that, and that is the ability with electronic communications to see if your spouse is cheating or to hide an affair.
Yes.
It really has, that's the other area it's really taken off in terms of all the new apps that are available. There must be 30 apps available to how to hide your relationship with someone outside your marriage, and then also how to find your spouse cheating.
Okay, so you have to admit, now that must bring up some interesting dinner conversation at your house.
Oh yeah, but the apps are ever changing, and they're even harder. It's being more challenging now for the investigators to find out. But obviously, the wiretapping laws are very important in terms of making sure and advising your clients, depending on the state you're in too.
Right. Are you a two-party consent state, Kelly? Is Texas a two-party consent?
As long as, no, only one party needs to be aware of it.
Oh, really? Okay, yeah. We're a two-party consent state.
That's similar to Florida, yeah. So in Texas, only one party needs to be aware. But obviously, it's illegal to put spyware on your spouse's phone or on their computer, which gets done quite often. That is a federal and state crime in Texas.
Interesting.
It happens quite frequently, and people are able to find out about it. The phone, of course, is a key element to uncovering all that information.
Let me tease that one out just a second. So if you have a family-owned digital device, phone, iPad, laptop, when we come back, I want to ask you a little more about that. We're about to go out on break, but how you make that distinction of who can put apps on what. You're listening to Wagner and Winnick on the Law. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You can listen to us on biztalkradio.com.
Applying to Monterey College of Law is not hard, and we have a financial plan and class schedule that is tailored to meet your needs. I'm Wendy Law Revere, Dean of Admissions at Monterey College of Law. Have you ever dreamed of being a lawyer? We at Monterey College of Law can help make that dream come true without crippling you with debt on graduation day.
I chose Monterey College of Law because I wanted to continue working during the day. I had children at home, and I wanted to be able to go to school at night where it wouldn't impact what my children needed from me.
There really is not crippling debt that you face afterwards. Monterey College of Law has a payment plan which is manageable, and they work with you. The other huge benefit of Monterey College of Law is that the professors are judges and lawyers. By taking their classes, you really actually start networking. So I was very fortunate because I also ended up with a mentor.
There's never been a better time to become a lawyer. Call us today at 582-4000 or visit us online at montereylaw.edu. For decades, the students at Monterey College of Law have graduated and gone on to pass the bar and become successful attorneys. However, not everyone goes to Monterey College of Law to become an attorney. I'm Wendy Law Revere, Dean of Admissions at Monterey College of Law. We also offer students our 2-year Master of Legal Studies degree, which can enhance their chosen careers.
I was working as a deputy coroner for San Mateo County as a death scene investigator, and I wanted a better idea of the legal issues that were involved in forensic investigations. Everything about Monterey College of Law was accommodating to the course of study I was trying to find. I graduated from Monterey College of Law with no outstanding debt. I'm working as an investigator for the San Mateo County Private Defender's Office, performing indigent defense investigations.
For more information, call us today at 582-4000. That's 582-4000. Or visit us online at montereylaw.edu. That's montereylaw.edu.
Here is a tip for all who want to get the most for their money. Ready? Think local first. Yep, it's as simple as thinking local first. When you think local first and shop the locally owned independent businesses of Santa Cruz County, more of your money will stay here, so you can spend the money again and again and again. How much more will you get for your money? Get this. 5 $100 Think Local First checks circulated for 30 days within the Santa Cruz County business community generated $8,711.48 in local business. You heard right. $500 generated $8,711.48. Now, how much business do you think $500 would generate if spent on Made in China at the big box store? Not much, right? You will get more for your money, a lot more for your money, when you think local first and shop the locally owned independent businesses of Santa Cruz County. Look for the logo and then shop for the logo and think local first. Thank you.
Legal Services for Seniors, a nonprofit law firm, provides no-cost legal assistance to seniors in their 2 offices in Salinas and Seaside and in outreach locations throughout Monterey County, King City, Greenfield, Soledad, Gonzales, Castroville, Prunedale, Carmel Valley, Pacific Grove, Carmel, and Monterey. LSS attorneys and legal advocates can help with legal issues such as landlord-tenant conflicts, Medicare insurance mix-ups, Social Security mistakes, consumer fraud, elder abuse, wills, advanced health care directives, guardianships, and more. Find out more about legal services for seniors online at lssmc.net or call one of our offices in Salinas, Seaside, or one of the many outreach sites throughout Monterey County at 899-0492 or 442-7700.
In our challenging times, some couples just grow apart, and sometimes divorce is the only answer. Divorce is a difficult time for both of you and your kids. It can be expensive. Mediation rather than litigation creates an amicable way to get through a difficult time. That's why the Mandel Gisnett Center at the Monterey College of Law is now offering a new program that makes it affordable for low-income locals. This divorce mediation program is located at the Mandel Gisnett Nonprofit Mediation and Training Center at the Monterey College of Law and is aimed at couples who qualify based on income guidelines and offers sliding scale fees. Wednesday afternoon and evening appointments are available. For more information or to apply, go to mandelgisnettcenter.org or call 831-582-5234. This is a difficult time. Don't let it bankrupt you, too.
Welcome back. You're listening to Wagner and Winnick on the Law. This is Mitch Winnick, the Dean of Monterey College of Law and San Luis Obispo College of Law, and I'm joined as always by my co-host, trial attorney and law professor Stephen Wagner. And our guest today on the program is Kelly McClure, the managing partner and CEO of the McClure Law Group. And we're talking about divorces and family law as it's the Valentine's Day weekend, and we've tried to feature family law on this weekend each year. And right before the break, Kelly, you were talking about a warning that it's against both state and federal law, sort of state in many states and federal in all states, for someone to put a spyware device, a spyware app on a digital device. But my question to you was, how do you sort that out if these are family-owned devices on accounts that are shared by maybe husbands, wives, kids, etc.?
That's a great point, Mitch. And in Texas, the question is whether there is an expectation of privacy. So if
Kelly, I knew you were going to say that.
You just made Stephen's day. It's one of his favorite topics.
Good. Good.
Of course, Kelly, I do it in, with the backdrop being the Fourth Amendment and criminal procedure, but it's absolutely in play. Let me let you go, and then I'll jump in. Sorry.
No, but you go right ahead. But that's what the standard is in Texas, whether there's an expectation of privacy. So, for instance, does your spouse have a password on the iPad, on her iPad? And if so, do you have access to that password? Had she given that password to you freely, knowing that you may routinely get on her iPad? Or has she only given it to you one time with the understanding you were only going to get it on at one time for a limited purpose? So that kind of play.
Sorry, Kelly, but just having stated just that, that intro statement, you can well imagine, Kelly and Mitch, that there will be a major point of contention over whether this was a one-time offer to open up the iPad. I mean, there's going to be a major dispute potentially over that issue. But I think that's a good point, Kelly, because that's if you look at objective expectations of privacy, is it objectively reasonable? If it's a shared password and that's the custom and practice, it's unlikely that there's going to be a reasonable expectation of privacy to the extent that it would bar access, right?
Right.
And on the other hand, if it's a one-time offer, then you have a potential argument that it could still be safeguarded.
Correct.
Yeah.
But oddly enough, you could copy someone's computer hard drive. If a divorce case was pending, you could copy someone's hard drive and retrieve all the deleted text and emails or from the phone or a computer device on that hard drive. And that's not wiretapping. But intercepting electronic communication
whole different ball of wax.
Is different.
Yeah. Right. So
people think their phones, once they delete it off their text, it's deleted. But all those pop up on your phone.
Oh yes, absolutely.
Once you get that hard drive, every single text that you thought, every photo you thought was just for that one person is all of a sudden now made available.
Yeah.
Let me go one step further, because obviously this past year the website Ashley Madison was in the news, which was a website that was designed to allow people to hide, or actually they argued to encourage affairs and to hide them. So access to people's membership for online services like that, does that come into play, Kelly?
Yes. That's when that got published, we had a number of calls that day. and I don't know if you actually went on the website to see, but the volume was so voluminous that you couldn't have printed out that and put it in on a desk.
Right, because that's when it was hacked, and they actually published the list of names of people who supposedly were members.
It was the name, it was the address, it was the credit card information. Everything about that person was put online. But it was, and so I had a number of clients calling, asking me if their spouse was on it, and then I had a number of clients saying that they were on it, what to do. So.
Well, that's when the level of legal fees become inconsequential to the individual at that point, I am sure.
Yes. Yes. That was called quite a controversy, and still does. It still has had a lot of
fallout,
a lot of activity.
Kelly, Mitch and I talked about this issue in preparation, and we actually have a public service announcement in our program that touts a program of mediation, of trying to settle differences before actually going into a formal divorce. What goes on in Texas in regard to efforts to mediate?
Thanks for asking. Texas is very similar. So we are almost every judge in Texas will require mediation before it goes to trial. And mediation has a great success rate. It's at least 85% successful to try to resolving all the disputes. So we have mediation. We also have collaborative law like you all have in California.
Talk a little more about that, because I don't think people are familiar with what the whole concept of collaborative law is.
Yes, collaborative is an amicable way to resolve disputes without going to the courthouse. You have to have an attorney, and we sit around with a neutral mental health professional and neutral financial person and work on common goals of the parties and work on resolution of an interest-based approach to dissolving the marriage.
And if I remember correctly, at least at the beginning of the collaborative law movement, the lawyers that participated agreed that they would not take that case to trial if they signed on as the individual's collaborative lawyer, because the goal of the interest base was to share things that might not otherwise have come out without a formal discovery process.
You've got a great memory, Mitch. That's exactly right. So if you sign the collaborative law agreement and participate in the process, and if for some reason the case doesn't resolve itself within the collaborative law process, the lawyers retained in the collaborative law process have to opt out, and new legal counsel have to be brought in for the parties.
Yeah, and I don't think it's as big. Right. I don't think, I know it's out here in California, but I don't hear it in play as much as I did with the group in Dallas, who I believe were, many of you in Dallas were at the very early stages of that. That was pretty cutting edge at the time.
Right. I think I had the first case.
So I might have missed this, Kelly. I'm sorry, my connection's a little bit bad. But did you say it requires consent early on of all the parties?
Yes. Yes, everyone's got to sign off on an agreement. But it has not. Unfortunately, it has not been. It's not taken off like we hoped it would in Texas. But there are still a number of collaborative law cases. Cases are very well suited for collaboration.
Yeah, and I just want to repeat that because I think it's something people should think about. Here you are, your bread and butter is as a trial lawyer, but yet you recognize as a trial lawyer it's still important and in some cases far more appropriate to use this collaborative law approach where you basically are taking trial off the table, at least through the good faith effort at the beginning. If it fails, the parties can always go back to ground zero and head to the courthouse. But with the impact on the courts nowadays and the length of time it takes to get things, I would like to see collaborative law continue to expand. I think we should push it more in California here as well.
And I hope it does. It's still catching on, but we're hoping the movement will continue to grow because it definitely benefits the parties and the families and the children going in the process.
Let me go back to one other thing, and this may be a harebrained idea, but I'm not afraid to bring those kind of things up, as Stephen well knows. In the good old days, whatever those days were, there used to be things called a suit for alienation of affection. And when you were talking about the Ashley Madison, I was wondering, is there any residual law left like that where someone could actually sue an Ashley Madison for playing an active role in the alienation of affection?
You asked very good questions, Nick.
That's pretty good.
That was very good.
Well, I like the deep pockets. I'm looking for deep pockets here.
Yeah. Well, that hasn't. I haven't been involved in a case where that's happened yet. There was a cause of action years ago that you could have for alienation of affection. It surfaced in a case recently, but it hasn't come back that strong. But I could conceivably see that an agency could be disclosed like that for the exposure of that information to the parties, thinking they too had the expectation of privacy that would not be distributed. And unfortunately, their children can see that their parents may have participated in Ashley Madison. So it really is far-reaching. So I could see that a case developing along those lines.
Well, let's come back to that topic after this short break. You're listening to Wagner and Winnick on the Law. It's a reminder you can hear us each week on biztalkradio.com. This is a short break. Don't go away. We'll be right back.
Making a change in career is a serious decision that affects both you and your family. You have many questions that need to be answered before you can make a commitment. I'm Wendy Law Revere, Dean of Admissions at Monterey College of Law. Have you ever dreamed of being a lawyer? We at Monterey College of Law can help make that dream come true. And it's affordable. But don't take it from me. Hear what recent graduate Dan Cullum says.
Before I was entering law school, I was an airline pilot. After I retired, I decided that I would go to law school. Monterey College of Law was the avenue to fulfill that desire. I loved Monterey College of Law. It was small classes. The professors were very helpful, personal. You could talk to them. Tuition is not exorbitant at Monterey College of Law, which is the opposite of the way it is at other places. It's affordable. They have a program at Monterey College of Law that lets you pay as you go, so it's financially possible.
There's never been a better time to become a lawyer. Call us today at 582-4000 or visit us online at montereylaw.edu.
Long before Woody's cruised Beach Street, kids and teens have needed to know that they are important and that they belong. Since 1969, the Boys and Girls Club of Santa Cruz has provided a place where potential is released and great futures are forged. Help celebrate our 45th anniversary by emailing your club memories and pictures to Celebrate 45 years at boysandgirlsclub.info or call 423-3138, extension 23. We are also excited to announce that Monterey College of Law is providing one full tuition law school scholarship each year to a former Boys and Girls Club participant. Contact Executive Director Bob Langseth at 423-3138, extension 21, or email Bob at boysandgirlsclub.info to learn more about this exciting opportunity.
My Chevrolet, my Chevrolet. When you need a car, truck, say my Chevrolet. In our Salinas Valley, the best two words to say. When you need a car, truck, say my Chevrolet.
For your next new or pre-owned car, truck, or SUV, check out the great lineup of vehicles and fantastic deals now at My Chevrolet.
My Chevrolet.
My Chevrolet in the Salinas Auto Mall.
So I'm a cat, and I just moved in with this new human, and she's got this little toy she's always playing with, all day long. Tap, 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 bloop, bloop. She can't put it down. There it is. Oh, and get this. She even talks to it. Last week, she asked it for Chinese, and guess what? Egg rolls showed up. Like magic. Humans have cool toys.
A person is the best thing to happen to a shelter pet. Be that person. Adopt. Brought to you by the Ad Council and the ShelterPetProject.org.
Legal Services for Seniors, a nonprofit law firm, provides no-cost legal assistance to Monterey County seniors age 60 and above. LSS attorneys and legal advocates can help with legal issues such as landlord-tenant conflicts, Medicare insurance mix-ups, Social Security mistakes, consumer fraud, elder abuse, wills, advanced health care directives, and more. LSS also helps Monterey County seniors obtain guardianship for grandchildren and other family members 18 and younger in their care. Under legal guardianship, you can arrange medical care, give parental consult for school and sports activities, and secure other benefits. Find out more about legal services for seniors online at lssmc.net or call one of our offices in Salinas, Seaside, or one of the many outreach sites throughout Monterey County at 899-0492 or 442-7700. 899-0492 or 442-7700.
Do you need an attorney? The Monterey County Bar Association and the Santa Cruz County Bar Association Lawyer Referral Services can help you. The Lawyer Referral Services maintain a list of pre-screened attorneys available to help you with your specific legal needs. Along with specialized knowledge in a particular field of law, each attorney is an active member of the County Bar Association and has malpractice insurance coverage. How much does the Lawyer Referral Service cost? To receive a referral, you pay a non-refundable $50 administrative fee that supports the Lawyer Referral Service. In return, you receive a 30-minute in-person free consultation with a private attorney. So, if you need legal help and do not have an attorney in Monterey County, call 831-582-3600 or go to www.montereycountybar.org. In Santa Cruz County, call 831-425-4755 or go to www.santacruzbar.org.
Welcome back. You're listening to Wagner and Winnick in the Law. This is Mitch Winnick, the Dean of Monterey College of Law and San Luis Obispo College of Law, and I'm joined by my co-host Stephen Wagner, trial attorney and law professor. And our guest today on this Valentine's Day special is Kelly McClure. Kelly's an attorney. She's the managing partner and CEO of the McClure Law Group, and her area of specialization is family law, including divorces. Kelly, before the break, we were talking about third parties that get involved in divorces, but let me shift a little to a different type of third parties, and that's the kids. So you enter into a divorce, and it's most common that both the husband and the wife will be represented by attorneys. Who represents the children?
Well, another good question, Mitch. They can be represented by an amicus attorney in Texas, or an ad litem, or they can even have a volunteer CASA volunteer.
And so how does that come up? Can the court, I guess my question is, I'm stumbling along here though, is if the court senses that there's the interests of the children not being represented, can the court on their own motion take action? Is that where the amicus attorney comes about?
Yes, exactly right, Mitch. So an amicus attorney is an aid of the court, they cannot give a report to the court, but they can act just like another lawyer. They're an attorney, and they can act just like another lawyer in the case and ask questions during trial, do discovery, and so forth. So they're not necessarily following what their client, the children, want, though. They're aiding the court. An ad litem attorney represents what the child's request is. So it doesn't have to be in the child's best interest to be, if you're an ad litem attorney. It can be in your client's best interest.
And so if you're a grandparent watching this happen, and I'm sure you've seen this many times, and they're not a related party to the divorce. They obviously have a family interest in the grandchildren. Is there any way that they can insert themselves into this process? Can they go to the court and ask for an ad litem, or can they hire one on their own?
Right. Well, again, another good question. The laws on grandparents' rights are ever changing. Right now, they're coming back into having some representation. Many times, with the impaired parents that we're seeing these days, grandparents have been raising the grandchildren. And if that's the case, they would have standing to bring the lawsuit themselves. And right now, I presently represent a number of wonderful grandparents, and courts like to see the grandparents because they know that their role is really trying to help help the children and their grandchildren. And so we're seeing more involvement with grandparents these days, even though if they hadn't had a 6-month period of possession with the grandchildren, they don't have standing, but they can also file an emergency motion requesting some interim relief. And then the court may at that time allow them to have custody of the children if the parents are impaired.
Yeah, I think that's similar to the way it would play out in California, too. They could be originally involved, or they would have to seek to intervene later. And if they did so, they would definitely have to establish the nexus and connection with the children.
So one last thing I want to talk about as we wrap up our fourth section here, Kelly, is that, we each, of the three of us, all have a document on our wall that says attorney and counselor at law. But we're not that kind of counselor, although I'm sure you have more, there's more of your practice that falls closer to it than either Stephen or mine. What role do mental health professionals, or what role would you like to see mental health professionals playing in this whole process? Because what I've always heard is that in many ways family law is the single most dangerous practice of law, more so than criminal law or anything else, because when you've got the children involved and, the who gets to raise the children, possession of the children, it's a very, very volatile environment. How does all that play out?
Well, I always think I work the hardest I can do, give all my heart and everything into a case, all the effort and time and energy to give everything you've got to help people going through the difficult time of a divorce. Mental health professionals play a crucial role. The courts also now appointing them on cases to do the evaluations, do a psychological, psychiatric, or a custody evaluation, and the courts are asking them for guidance sometimes when there's not enough information. So they are the fact gatherer at on multiple occasions, trying to gather the history and the background of the parties.
That's really interesting. So actually, on the court's own motion, the court can bring in a mental health professional if they believe that's going to be critical to the case.
Exactly, and it is a great aid, depending, to get a qualified mental health professional to help you in the process. It does help sort out the facts and gather the information, because many times with the HIPAA laws, it's very difficult and challenging to get records of treatment of the parties. And with the mental health professional involved, they can get that information. They can do testing. They can do psychological evaluations on the parties that can tell if there's any impairment.
And who pays when something like, so we've talked about a couple things, and ad litem, now we've talked about health professionals that the court's asking to be brought in. How are those costs allocated?
In a divorce proceeding, it's usually paid by the community estate.
Okay.
So the parties themselves are splitting that cost from some asset that the parties have, or from the funds available to the parties. They'd be paying for the amicus attorney, the ad litem attorney, and the mental health professional. In a modification case where people come after divorce, or in a paternity case, it may be borne by the person seeking their release. So the court can look at the financial circumstance of the parties and make a 50-50 division of the cost, or 70-30, or make one party pay completely for the cost of seeking the release.
There's efforts to make it equitable.
Yes.
So, all right. So, Kelly, thank you very much. So tell me one last thing. So, you husband and wife, you're both attorneys. You listen to the worst side of the marriage equation for 25 years. Does this help you? You and Wade have been married for a long time, right?
Yes, about the same amount of time. But I like to think it makes me a better spouse and appreciate my spouse better. Everyone goes through highs and lows, but you got to work together as a team for your family. But if that can't work, then it's a healthy choice not to continue in the relationship.
Well, that's great. Well, Kelly McClure, thank you very much for being our guest today on Wagner and Winnick on the Law.
Thank you both, gentlemen, for inviting me to be part of your terrific show. I really enjoyed it, and hope you have a very happy Valentine's.
Well, thank you very much. Stephen, we've done it again. Another week of Wagner and Winnick on the Law. It's my turn to remind everyone that you can listen to a replay of this week's show at biztalkradio.com and wagnerandwinnick.com for either a replay or archives of previous shows. So, as we say each week, if you don't know the law, know a lawyer.